And welcome to another edition of From the Desk of. I'm Jim Cohen, CEO of Minneapolis Jewish Federation, and I'm pleased to welcome to the desk today Kara Frank and Josh Awend, co-founders and co-chairs of the Jewish Business Alliance, which is an incredible new affinity that we launched in 2025. So Kara, welcome. Josh, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to throw a softball to start today and ask, what is the Jewish Business Alliance and what brought about its creation? And Carol, why don't we start with you?
Sure. The Jewish Business Alliance is a group that Josh and I have been dreaming of for ever. And we were looking for a place to communicate as business owners. You find that there's so many shared issues and challenges, and we wanted like-minded individuals. Different businesses have similar issues. And we were always looking for a place where we could have kind of a safe space of a Jewish community really focused on business. And so we've not in a networking group, but a group where we can all grow and utilize our shared strength and grow all of our businesses.
I mean, it really did come about that we were lucky in this town to have an affinity group for doctors, an affinity group for lawyers. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer,
Right?
but I still think that there's room for our voices to, like Kara said, to share in common resources what we need. Who do you use for this? Taxes, these types of things are very easy, low hanging fruit for business owners. But at the same time, how do you look at making money for this? My skill set could be, even though I'm a to the trade contractor for window treatments, I had to get that in there. How can I help Kara in a business sense for her real estate companies, or is there shared resources across both sides? And to start from a place of just being Jewish professionals is a common place, and it was really great to start there.
I'm going to get Jewish professionals in just a second, but
Yeah.
since you added that shameless plug,
Yes.
I should add that clients here in our offices are courtesy of you, and they
They're
look wonderful. So
lovely.
thank you very much.
We're happy to do it.
So, speaking about being Jewish, and the one common denominator that everybody has in the Judaism is the J, that everyone is Jewish, or Jewish adjacent, or identifies with our community. How does being Jewish impact you in your daily business, how you conduct yourself, how you think about going about business? And I'm going to follow up and say, how has that grown through the Jewish Business Alliance?
I'll go first. Listen, we're in a family business, so I had to watch the generation before me teach me how to be in business. So my parents ran a very, what I saw was this very ethical company of, you treat your employees right, you treat your customers right, and you treat your vendors right, and that was the point. And those all come from a Jewish lens. Like, you mentioned business, the only thing you have in this world is your name, essentially, is what my dad used to tell me. And if you don't have a good name in business, you're not going to be in business very long. So from a Jewish perspective, that's where it begins and ends, is like, you make sure that you pay your bills on time, you treat your customers with the utmost of respect, and it all comes through that Jewish lens, is how it works for me and for our business.
Kara, are
I,
there any Jewish values that you bring to that you think you bring to the everyday work table?
I would agree with those. I think it comes down to, my personal values. And I think we've had some interesting sessions through the JBA and talk about Jewish values as it's related to money. And I've found those to be incredibly fulfilling as we learn about what our religion says about some of these things and how it dictates money and success and honesty and all the things that Josh spoke about. And I think that there is a place of commonality through all of us when we can relate in that regard. I'm in a lot of business groups, but there is something different when you're talking to other Jewish business owners. And I think that something different is what we really wanted to get to here, that understanding of paying those bills on time and, that your word and your name and the community feeling, those are all things that my business was originally started by my grandfather, and all of the same values that he really impressed on us.
I know that you've had specific sessions talking to the community here in Minnesota. Can you talk a little bit about how that went and specifically what you guys gained from it, Josh?
You know,
It was incredibly impactful.
we had 2 sessions with, John Germazian down at the Mall of America, and just to have access to him and his generosity to sit and speak with us about how he looks at business, how he looks at through the lens of religion, it was just very I was more just awestruck at that we were able to pull together, to be honest, to get that many Jews in a room to participate, but it was impactful in a way that just I maybe shouldn't say this on a recorded thing. I don't remember anything specific, I just remember that it was impactful. I just think that the idea of talking about money through a Jewish lens, it's nice to know that there are laws and there are ethics and there is the ability to lean on the tradition in that way. If you have a question to say like, how would how would I approach a really complex business situation? There is something already written down about it, and you can reference, Talmudic text on how I should deal with this particular situation.
That's really neat. I mean, I'm neither Judaic study scholar or someone that it's in private business, but I was struck every year on Yom Kippur at the Awend in the confessional how many sins we've all committed in business, right? Is for charging users interest or all of the various things. And so it is something that I think our people have grappled with for millennia as to how to do right, as you said before, employees, customers, et cetera. And so the fact that in addition to networking and learning best practices from a purely business perspective, that you take the time to I don't want study, but also to really try to be as good to Jewish business people as you can. I'm incredibly impressed.
One element too to keep in mind is that when we were constructing the JBA, because there's really nothing like this that we found. So we kinda had to make up what we wanted to.
Framework.
We had decided that there were gonna be specific pillars that we were gonna work on. So one is headed up by, obviously, philanthropy. Kara's philanthropy. We also have Steven Schoenberger, who's been awesome to work with in this whole process. He's more of like, the monthly local programming, networking or not networking, but like meetups, we'll call them instead of that. And then we have Mike Furman, who's been huge help as far as international programming. So he's right now, as of the time of the recording, trying to put together a business trip to Israel coming up in October. But with that said, all those are being focused through that Jewish lens. Recently, you can speak to what happened down at campus, but we immediately thought the JBA can help in that regard on what's
Yep.
happening on campus.
So last week there was a Free Palestine protest because there was a group of IDF soldiers that were visiting
Yeah.
the Chabad on campus, and a lot of us were really shook by that and shook by the strength of the students and their courage to fight hate with love. And we always wanted this to be a group that was able to respond philanthropically, and so we kind of sent out some texts and some emails and were able to send Shabbat dinner for the Chabad students this Friday. And I think that was something we always said was going to be important to our group was to have a philanthropic arm and to respond quickly and um, to support the community because we think that private business, small business is the heart of a community.
In that same regard, I'm sure we'll get to the topic of the trip that we took to Israel.
Yes, we will.
So yeah, one of the people that works on that side in Rehovot had an initiative, like one of those small grassroots initiatives
Yep.
to collect EpiPens for the Rehovot
Uh,
community. It was just it's very encouraging to see what one link in a WhatsApp group can generate to help out a community like that. So he sent out a link, and next thing you know, we were able to supply 100 EpiPens or something like that.
Mhm.
And just knowing that giving can be that local and that grassroots and that small, but can have a really big impact.
yeah, I would add it's nice to see. I always joke that one of the great things about federation that we do so many different disparate things, and one of the challenges of federation that we do so many different disparate things. Sometimes it's impossible for us to be able to be that macro and that laser focused on EpiFunds for these 50
Mhm.
people because of vetting, tax issues, and you name it. So for us to have a mechanism like JBA that can work like that nimbly and quickly, but still within Federation framework, so it doesn't have to go through 6-month process, is very helpful, not just to us, to the community writ large. The fact that you all have stepped in to do that is tremendous, and it fills a very nice niche for us, and I'm glad about that. Well, you had provided me with the perfect segue because I was going to ask you, you guys have hit the road and have not only been dealing with things on the local level, but also with Israel, in particular, partners in COVID. So, Karen, tell me about the
Yes.
experience in Israel and what you took from it.
Yes, fondly named the guys trip. We were able to travel to Israel last October, and we had the most incredible trip that was really focused on business. It was a very different Israel trip than I had ever taken, and it was I think the through line of that whole trip was how business in Israel is so different from business in the United States, and the impetus for it and where that comes from. But we were just floored to see. I mean, the amount of incredible innovations that come out of Israel for the size of the population is remarkable. And we do things different, and there are strengths on both sides. And we were really able to see their innovation, which is leaps and bounds ahead of ours, that our ability to follow through might be a little bit more successful in
There-
other ways. So I think that there are strengths on both sides, but we were able to talk to business owners, from a restaurant owner to a gym to a protein company. I mean, just a wide variety of different businesses, both large and small, and understand how they operate there. It was eye-opening, doesn't even begin to describe it.
100%. One of the highlights was the Perez that I think we're in partnership. That day was pretty amazing to hear. That we talked to an IDF. So the program we spoke to is specifically for IDF soldiers who had businesses before or after um, the current operations. And to hear the person that we spoke to woke up that morning at 4 o'clock in the morning in Gaza, got through all the security back into Israel, and drove specifically to Rehoboth to talk to us. And like it made the experience just like I don't know how I'm
And he had like a 2-week-old baby or
and
something.
I'm seeing cream cheese all over my face from like the lunch, and I feel terrible. It's the empathy that goes out to these people when you see
Yeah.
the human element of who they are, and that business is just like a side note to what they're doing. I saw another WhatsApp message come through about these. I'm a pilot by day, and then I get off out of a plane, and I come back and have a Zoom call for my business. Like it's innate in us that we just we're a people that want to enact and help create change. And the Perez Institute was just a really eye-opening experience.
I'm going to interrupt you and share one of
Please,
the
thank
other
you.
most impactful moments that Josh and I had.
Oh my
Was Minneapolis community donated an ambulance to the Rehoboth community, and we were there visiting Hatzalah, and they got a call in. And Josh and I decided to run out of the room against everyone's
With
better
the support
judgment.
of the staff, we got the okay from the staff.
Yeah, a little bit. And we jumped in the ambulance and went with them on the call. And it was remarkable. I mean, it was amazing to see the Minneapolis community, the ambulance that they needed in Rehoboth, and that we were able to go out and save somebody and bring him to the hospital and just witness this entire experience. Josh did his best to
Yeah.
film it, and it was incredible. And it was really like a full circle moment of what local philanthropy can do across the world. And we are sitting in this ambulance, zigzagging through town. Exactly.
The fact that there's often a connection between them, or there should always be, if
Yes.
possible, a connection between them is really, this is illustrative of that. You one up me because I've posed for photographs on one of the motorcycles that
Oh,
we've donated,
yep.
but I've never gotten to ride in an ambulance. And
Don't ask, just do it.
hopefully it was successful and the person was okay.
He was fine.
Yeah, I think this is a minor head wound, but I'm feeling better. I called him the other day. Everything is fine.
Doing well?
Yeah, he's fine.
It's great.
What's the one you talked about how business is conducted differently on
Yes.
the opposite sides of the Atlantic in this case. Is there one specific takeaway that really surprised you that is done in Israel that just kind of blew your mind? Like, wow, we don't do it that way.
They hate profit.
They hate profit. We're very I mean, not we're both very focused on profit,
So hopefully
and
we get
they
bigger.
are not. They are about building and innovation and growth, and it will come later. If you build it, they will come. But it is not about profit at all. And everywhere we went, we would ask questions directly, like, "So how is this going to make money?" And they were like, We'll figure it out."
We don't want to.
Or, "We don't want to," or,
Yeah.
That was a
Well, they got to
stark
do something.
difference.
The innovation has led to many successes, but that's very interesting that this drive to constantly innovate and constantly improve is more of a priority than the bottom line for a lot
Mhm.
of people. It's something that everybody thought of.
There's also this idea that it's one of those questions like if you ask an Israeli, do you want to meet in a week? They'll laugh at you, but if you want to meet in an hour, they'll be ready to go. That time horizon, because of where they're located and what they're constantly surrounded with, and at the drop of a hat, they could be in a 5-year war with a 7 front army. Like that on October 6th, everything was fine. October 7th till today is a whole new life. Every hour could be a new life for them. I think that is ingrained in the psyche of that culture of I don't have time to spend the money. If I make it, I don't even know what I would do with it because I don't know where I'm gonna be. Whereas the Americans are like, up until in the future, we're secure enough in where we're at that we can have a federation that we strategically give money to and has a plan to move forward. Where there in Israel, it's just, I hope I see you when you come back from the store. Like it's such a different mindset. So I think that is what that mental shift is when it comes to how they deal with the money. But again, it's like you can make money and not be evil. You can have profits for your business and grow it bigger and hire someone else to make it more lucrative. It doesn't mean that you're evil for making the money. It's just how can you a
Right,
different mindset.
right. Well, we're running out of time, uh, and I want to thank you both again for joining me today. And I want to end something of a cliche question, but I think it's very relevant for something that is brand new and has much potential, and that is, where do you want to see this Jewish lives in 5 years? How are we going to achieve success, and what do you think it would take for you to get there?
I know that robust programming is something that we would love to see, and I think just a general excitement around the idea of being a member of this community, having people know what it is, and really look to it for value. I think that it's not something you just check the box and meet with a group, but you're like, "I need to see these people because I have to run this issue that I'm having by them." And that it's really a place where people can go for that business development. I think that's the feeling that I'm looking to build.
Listen, I would like just want to take one quick pause and say, as a graduate from a number of federation programs, I just want to thank the federation staff that everyone greenlit this as an initiative. Because for all the ideas that I'm sure cross everyone's desk, it was nice to say that, hey, I have this idea
Mhm.
that can make the Jewish people stronger. Can you help me with it? And Federation, without a doubt, from the beginning, from a lot all the way down to now we're working with Ben, has been nothing but open doors. Yes, let's sit down, let's figure it out, bring in as many people as we can to make it work. And that just shows how great our Minneapolis Federation is. So I would just like to just jump in real quick and say that. As far as
Absolutely.
where we are in 5 years, I have no idea. Hopefully, we're doing Business Person of the Year dinners, and we're raising a ton of money to give away
Yep.
to other initiatives, and we have subsidized trips to Israel as business leaders, so we can go learn about the innovation that they have and help out where we can, and learn from them. We can learn from us, and even maybe go international with it, or even if we can talk to other federations around the country and do sure there's other business owners, Jewish business owners around the country that we could possibly meet up with. But those are the initiatives. The one of the big things that I always like to think about with this is it's not. I don't necessarily. There's a very crass way to put it, but I'll give Brian a nod for that. Like, I don't really care what it is that you do. I care how you do it, and that was a light bulb moment for me because, well, yes, I care that the real estate business. It's more, what are the systems you're putting in place? How are you using this to make your business better? Those are the conversations that's going to get somewhere more than just like, I sell blinds. Like that's not anything that's going to really.
They're great blinds.
Yeah, they're great blinds, but at the end of the day, like what are the systems that I use in my business that I can help your business or a
There's so much
nonprofit?
similar, more
Yeah,
similar than different. And I think it would be really neat to see this idea expanded to other federations too. I think when you talk about measures of success, we tried so hard to find a like organization in another community and we couldn't find it. And we didn't understand why, but we searched and searched. Um, it's shocking that it doesn't exist. And so I think that that would be a high honor if we heard of another community checking in to see what Minneapolis is doing.
Well, first, thank you for the compliment, Josh,
of course.
and just the conversation that we've had certainly is an example of why we thought this was a great idea and wanted to partner with you. And the fact that we are open to new ideas and try to step every day is one of the hallmarks of Federation. So thank you for that. And, we always much beyond our way, above our weight in Minneapolis. And if we can be a leader and help other communities do something like this, show that it does not take a tremendous amount of red tape, it takes talent, a little bit of time, and a good idea, that would also be an honor for me as well. Um, I know where you guys live, and hopefully we'll get to that point in the future. So for now, again, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Until
Thank you for
next
having me.
time, bye now.